Hello, welcome to Frontline. With me today is a sport law expert, the person of Jesujoba. Hi, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing very fine. It's nice to be here.
I'm sure you're looking forward to the weekend already.
Definitely.
I don't work, choke.
Choking it.
So what exactly do you do to unwind during the weekend?
Sports, football, play football, watch football.
Wait, what club do you support?
The greatest club in England.
Chelsea?
What do you mean? Manchester United.
Actually, you are the haters of Arsenal. Because people are always coming for us.
There's nothing to vote on Arsenal. There's nothing.
90% of haters I get,
Yes.
whenever Arsenal should lose or win, are mostly Man U or Chelsea fans.
We don't hate them. We just want them to be consistent. Consistent with finishing second.
It's fine. So we'll come back to that later because I'm definitely sure we'll conquer Arsenal. I trust them. But we're actually here to discuss about something important. And I know one or two people or one or two football academy or clubs will learn from this. We're here to discuss about solidarity mechanism and training compensation in player transfer. So I'd like you to tell me exactly what it means.
Alright, so training compensation and solidarity mechanisms, these are key provisions set in place by FIFA in what we know as the regulations on the status and transfer of players, also known as the FIFA RSTP. Now, Article 20 and Annex 4 of the FIFA RSTP provides for training compensation. And these training rewards, both training compensation and solidarity mechanisms, they are rewards kept in place to encourage clubs and academies that have spent time and resources in training and developing young footballers. So this is like FIFA giving back to the society or to the training clubs. Yeah. So now back to Article 20 and Annex 4. Training compensation, as I've said earlier, is paid to the training clubs and it's triggered on two occasions. One, when a player signs his first professional contract, that's when a player becomes a professional. And the second is when a professional is transferred to a different club. Transferred to a different club, the club must be an international club, a club in a different, what we call member association, but it's like a federation. So a different federation, like the Nigerian Football Federation, the English Football Association, Egyptian, so like that. So it must be an international transfer.
Okay.
So now, a very important question is who is a professional? Now, a professional, as provided in Article 2 of the FIFA RSTP, provides that a professional is someone who has obviously signed a professional contract and is paid more for the services incurred. Is paid more for the footballing expenses he has incurred. So if I'm a professional footballer in Nigeria and I'm earning more than what I incurred by virtue of the fact that I am a footballer, then I am a professional. So this has nothing to do with lifestyle or cost of living. It's strictly as relates to football. Now, solidarity mechanism, on the other hand, it is provided in Article 21 and Annex 5 of the FIFA RSTP. That solidarity mechanism is also rewards to training clubs or academies, and it's triggered when a professional moves to a different club for a fee. And that is I know we'll get there, but that's one of the biggest factors. It must be for a fee. Whether a player is transferred, a professional football player is transferred to an international club for a fee. 5% of that transfer fee is now, disbursed to all the clubs that have trained the player either through loan, through permanent transfer. So that's like training compensation and solidarity mechanism in a nutshell.
Okay. So I also noticed that age is also a factor when it comes to these two, training compensation and solidarity mechanism. Can you explain? Can you specify the age category for both?
All right. So age is a very, very important factor because age determines who gets what and who is eligible to get what amount of money. So now for training compensation, any club that has trained a player between the age of 12 to 21 are entitled to training compensation, as I've explained earlier. But they are entitled to, the training compensation window or the reward window is still opened until while the player is 23 years old. The end of that, let's say player clocks 23 in March. In December, clubs can say, okay, let me put it into context. Let me give a scenario. Let's say, let's give Adamu moves from a club in Nigeria to a club in Germany, and he was in Nigeria at the age of, he left Nigeria for Germany at the age of, let's say 20, and he became a professional footballer in Germany. Now, training compensation will trigger because he became a professional in Germany. Of course, it's an international transfer. So now what this means is that the club in Lagos or Nigeria, wherever he was trained, will be entitled to training rewards that for the ages of 12, 13, 14 to 20, the age. So for those years they train the player, they are paid for it. So there's something they call FIFA splits, the club category into four. There are clubs from category 1, 2, 3, 4. So for clubs that are in category 4, for example, if you transfer a player to a category 4 club, they are not entitled to training compensation. But that's an aside. So my point is, those training clubs in Lagos, Nigeria, would entitled to reward from the ages of 12 to 20. Every club that's training within those periods. However, if he was maybe 22 or 23 at the time of transfer to an international club or a different club in a different association, what happens is that training compensation is only paid between the ages of 12 and 21. But you can still make demands for the training compensation so long as the player is between the ages of 12 and 23. So now if a player reaches a professional status at the age of 25, then training compensation cannot be triggered because the window for which training compensation can be triggered is between the ages of 12 and 23. But the reward itself, we only recognizes the ages of 12 to 21, but can be triggered even after the player has clocked 23, and even the 23 is within that calendar year of 26. So for that is what applies to training compensation. Then the age implication for solidarity mechanism is a bit different. For solidarity mechanism is just saying if you've trained a player between the ages of 12 to 21, you are entitled to 5% of the transfer fee. So the way FIFA splits it is that between those that train the player rather, between the ages of 12 to 15 will be entitled to 5% of the 5% of the transfer fee. So that clubs that train the player between the ages of 16 to 21 will be entitled to 10% of the 5%. So if one club train the player all through the 12 to 21, they will take the 5% of transfer fee. But if they are, like 10, 15, it can't be up to 15 anyway, but like let's say 2 clubs that train the player, so it means that those 3 clubs will split the money by percentage. If one trains player from 20, let's say from 18 to 21, 10% times the number 18 to 21. So those are trained 12 to 15, the 5%, so that's 5% times 3. So that's the age implication. Now, for solidarity mechanism, there's no barrier. It can be requested at any time. So even after the player is 21, 22, 23, throughout the player's career, so long as it's transferred for a fee, 5% will be given to all the clubs that have trained the players. Yeah.
That's actually amazing.
Yes, it is.
So what you're trying to tell me now is, let's say for instance a football academy here in Lagos trains a young footballer for like 2 to 3 years, and all of a sudden it gets transferred to like Man City, they're definitely going to get.
You know, they will get if they put their house in order, if they have the certain documents, if they have, if they've done the regulatory compliance.
Exactly.
They will get. But without that, if they don't have the right things in place, then they might miss out. And that's where many African clubs and academies,
they're having issues.
Yeah.
So now you've told us what it both means. I just feel like they both tend to actually reward these training clubs. I feel like there should be a difference between the both of them.
Yeah.
Can we try and differentiate?
All right. So I know both of them tend to reward training clubs. However, there are differences. Now the major differences are, for training compensation, you'd realize that it focuses more on the early stage of a player's career.
Okay.
So training compensation can only be gotten by training clubs between the ages of 12 and 23.
Okay.
So the moment a player clocks 24, 25, then that's the end for training compensation. So for solidarity mechanism, on the other hand, it exists so long as a player is being transferred for a free throughout his career. So if Ronaldo tomorrow leaves Anna, say, let's say it comes to Kano Pillars, comes to my Sporting Lagos, as long as it's for a fee, because that trained in between 12 and 20, we always get 5% of that transfer. So another major distinction is that for training compensation, there need not be any transfer fee. Okay. So if a player moves from an amateur league or becomes a professional in a different club, let's say the transaction was done for free. There was no the buying club didn't pay anything. Maybe the player was already a free agent, was not with any club, and moves to a different club. So those clubs that trained the player between the ages of 12 to 21, so long as it's still between, as I've explained, 12 and 23, they will definitely get training compensation. They will be compensated for the development of the player. But for solidarity mechanism, on the other hand, if a player moves to another club for free, then there will be no 5%, because the 5% only exists where there's a transfer fee involved.
Okay.
Yes. So these are like the major differences between training.
So training compensation, if there's no fee, there will still be a reward.
Definitely.
And there's an age limit for it.
Definitely.
For solidarity mechanism, there needs to be a fee involved for them to receive a reward, and there's no age limit to it.
Yes.
It keeps going
throughout the player's career.
So now we know the clubs, they receive rewards, compensation. I'd like to know, how do they actually get paid? How do these clubs get these rewards? What is the process?
Yeah, so a lot of these clubs, especially in Africa, these clubs and these academies, they don't even know how to, position themselves to actually get paid. There are clubs that you just say that their player is already in a different club, in an international club, and they're wondering, how did this guy get there? No proper follow-up and all of those things. And eventually, they realize that they are cut off from the process. So now, that's why the FIFA clearinghouse, came into the picture.
Okay.
So the FIFA clearinghouse is an independent, institute created by FIFA to facilitate this payment, this training rewards. So what happens is there are different windows. First, the moment a training competition or these rewards are triggered, I explained already how they are triggered. The moment they are triggered, an electronic player passport (APP) is created on TMS, the transfer matching system. The transfer matching, all clubs are meant to have an account on TMS. So what happens is there's a review period or an inspection period first, because MAs and clubs, you have to inspect, is my club on that electronic player's passport, or is the member association, is our member association also included in the player's passport? And the player's passport carries the history of the player, how he moves from point A, from club A to club B, you know. And after the inspection period, if then they move to, you know, finalizing. After they've agreed that okay, we have all the parties in this EPP. Although if a club is not included, you can, you know, appeal to the FIFA clearinghouse for inclusion, so you're included in the process. So it for the review or the inspection period takes 10 days, or it's meant to take 10 days. If the review period is meant to take, emphasis on meant, it's meant to take 15 days because it takes time eventually. Because when a club does not have certain documents and their names are also listed in the electronic and the player's passport, it stalls the whole process. It stalls because they have to make, so they have to, it's from that stage they go to, you know, finalization. Clubs bring in their documents, you know, the bank account, all those things, and I feel that's where clubs in Nigeria or Africa at large, some of them or academies are missing it, because they don't have all these structures in place. They don't have most of all these registration documents that will be required of them at the FIFA clearinghouse. So eventually it stalls the reward process. So if everything goes as planned, the club, you know, submit the relevant documents to show that they actually train this period between the time or the period they claim to have. Because if you claim to have trained a player between 12 and 15, you must actually bring documents. You must bring proof that this player was actually in your care or in your club or your academy, to show that you've actually trained this player.
That's necessary.
It's very, very necessary. So if you can't prove that, you're definitely going to start the process, because eventually you have to start getting documents. Because if a club is defaulting, all of them, all the clubs that train that player would suffer for it. So once everything is in place, let's say the training clubs have all their documents and all, then payments will be made to FIFA clearinghouse, and FIFA clearinghouse would remove the certain percentage meant for each training clubs or academy, and, you know, pay them their rewards. So in a nutshell, that's how training compensation and solidarity mechanism is being channeled to all training clubs. It's through the FIFA clearinghouse. Yeah.
And the thing is, not all these not all these football clubs have access to this info, or they do, or they just don't want to do. I don't even know.
Yeah.
Because if they have access to these informations, or they know it, they need to start putting in place all of these things to make it easy. Not that they're doing it last minute, which makes it difficult at the end of the day. Yeah, you're absolutely correct, because most of these clubs, again, they just focus on football, and sometimes they forget the administrative part of it. And that's why they need guidance, most especially from sports lawyers who are actually in the industry. Yeah, you're actually right. So you've explained what solidarity mechanism, training compensation mean. You've also given us the difference between them, and you've also explained how these payments or rewards compensation are done. So I just feel like, I was just thinking that with all of this being said, FIFA was trying to solve a particular problem.
Yeah.
So what exactly was the problem that FIFA was trying to resolve or solve?
All right. So the FIFA clearinghouse was established or created in 2022, and before then, buying clubs, you know, after they've transferred the player, after a player moves from point A to point B, obviously an international club, then the club within 30 days make sure that it pays training compensation and solidarity mechanism to all those training clubs. And as you would know, the club won't go chasing, because then it was manual. You had the, you know, player's passport, not the electronic one. So you don't expect all clubs, you know, some clubs at Allegiance will want to make sure that they put their house in order, but you don't expect all clubs to start running after training clubs to ensure that. So what they do is training clubs to try to reach out, prove of the fact that they've trained the player and all of those things. So what was later realized is that because some clubs don't really keep track of their players' movements, or they are not really aware of how things are going, they realize that a lot of clubs are being left out. Training compensations were not actually being paid, especially when you look at the African context. A lot of clubs were not being compensated. So that's when the FIFA clearinghouse came in. So the FIFA clearinghouse was to provide a centralized, payment system. That way, if a player moves from a club to an international club, the trade compensation is triggered. The moment the trade compensation is triggered, it's on the EPP, on the TMS. So those is open for inspection. Clubs, academies, member association can just look through. Oh, our name is Nayani. So it's meant to make things easier. But as it stands, whether FIFA clearinghouse has curbed or has eased the affairs of repayment of or payment of this training compensation is a different discussion for another day.
Alright, thank you so much, because you've explained it, and now we understand why FIFA put this in place to ensure no one is left out. No club, no training club, no football academy is left out. Everyone at least gets a share.
Exactly.
So, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is how money moves in football, or at least it's how it's supposed to move from the football academies to global stage. There's a whole financial ecosystem behind every player transfer. Well, a big shout out to our guest on today's episode. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for also breaking this down so clear, like we understand what it means. And we look forward to speaking to you on our next episode on enforcement of the training reward. So see you all next episode. Bye.
Bye.